Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every life where fear stands between where you are and where you know you're meant to be. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't wait for an invitation. It just shows up loud, paralyzing, and relentless. And in that moment you have two choices: retreat or rise. Fear has stopped more dreams than failure ever could, because fear whispers lies. It tells you you're not ready, that you're not enough, that your past defines your future. But let me tell you something, it's not the fear that's the enemy. It's the belief in that fear. Fear is not a wall, it's a door. And the only way to break through is to force yourself forward. Don't wait for courage to show up. It doesn't come to the passive. It comes to those who move despite trembling knees and pounding hearts. You say you're scared to start that business? Good. That means it matters. You say you're terrified of speaking up? Perfect. That means there's power in your voice. You say you're afraid to leave the comfort zone you've called home for years? Choose growth over fear, one step at a time. And yes, forcing yourself through fear will feel like walking through fire. But on the other side, strength, clarity, freedom. On the other side is the life you truly want, not the one fear has tricked you into accepting. So here's the truth. Fear doesn't leave you, it follows you. But you can drag it along for the ride while you drive. And yes, forcing yourself through fear will feel like walking through fire. But on the other side, strength, clarity, freedom. On the other side is the life you truly want, not the one fear has tricked you into accepting. So here's the truth. Fear doesn't leave you, it follows you. But you can drag it along for the ride while you drive. Force yourself to act. Force yourself to speak. Force yourself to rise. Because your future isn't waiting for the day you stop being afraid. It's waiting for the day you stop letting fear decide. So don't wait for the feeling. Make the decision. Move, speak, build, begin. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions we experience as human beings. It's instinctual, deeply rooted in our biology, and designed to protect us from danger. But in the modern world, fear has evolved. It no longer just warns us of physical threats. Now it wraps itself around our ambitions, our creativity, our relationships, and our potential. The real issue is not fear itself, it's our belief in the stories fear tells us. It's the way we accept those internal whispers as truth and allow them to become limitations. Fear says you're not ready. It says you're not good enough. It says this isn't the right time. Or you'll fail just like you did before. These thoughts don't come with flashing warning signs. They come dressed as logic, disguised as caution. And because they feel so familiar, so reasonable, we believe them, we obey them, and so we stay put. We talk ourselves out of applying for the job, starting the business, having the tough conversation, or stepping into the unknown. But here's the truth that too many people never confront. Fear is a liar. It fabricates futures that don't exist. It paints worst-case scenarios as guarantees. It makes you forget how capable you are. When you believe your fear, you build your life around it. You begin making decisions not based on desire or purpose, but on avoidance. You choose what feels safe, what feels familiar, what keeps you hidden from risk. You stop challenging yourself, and in the process, you stop growing. This is how dreams dino with failure, but with hesitation. Not with rejection, but with silence. Fear does not need to overpower you to win. It only needs you to believe it. The moment you start questioning fear, the moment you stop taking its word as truth, things begin to shift. You start to recognize that most of your fears are not rooted in reality, but in assumption. You begin to see that fear is a projection, not a prophecy. And once you understand that, fear starts to lose its grip. It might still be there, it might still whisper, but it no longer gets to call the shots. Think about how many opportunities have been lost because someone believed they weren't ready. Think about how many talents go unseen because someone believed they weren't good enough. These aren't failures of skill or intelligence. These are failures of belief, of surrendering to fear instead of standing up to it. The danger isn't in fear showing up. It's in handing it the microphone and letting it narrate your life. Courage is often misunderstood. People imagine it as a bold, fearless state of mind, a lightning strike of bravery that shows up when you need it most. They wait for it. They believe they can't move forward until they feel strong, confident, ready, but that moment rarely comes on its own. Waiting for courage is like waiting for the wind to change direction. It might happen eventually, but in the meantime, you're standing still. What most people don't realize is that courage doesn't come before action. It comes after. You take the first step, not before it. When you're standing at the edge of a decision that scares you, starting a new project, speaking up for yourself, leaving behind the familiar, there's a hesitation that creeps in. Your mind tells you it's not the right time, that you need to feel more prepared, more qualified, more confident, but that's not how courage works. Confidence is the reward, not the requirement. You earn it by doing. You build it like muscle. And like muscle, it doesn't grow from thought alone, it grows through resistance, through repetition, through movement. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward while feeling afraid. It's recognizing the fear, acknowledging it, and doing it anyway. The person who is terrified to speak on stage but does it anyway is far more courageous than the person who's never felt fear at all. In fact, fear is often the indicator that you're about to do something meaningful. That nervous energy, that doubt, that pulse of adrenaline, it's a sign you're pushing your limits, stepping into unfamiliar ground. And that's where growth lives. The idea that you need to feel ready before you act keeps so many people stuck. They prepare endlessly. They analyze every angle. They wait for the butterflies in their stomach to go away. But preparation without execution becomes procrastination. And over time, inaction builds regret. Because the truth is, you don't need to be fearless, you just need to be willing. Willing to take the first step, even if your voice shakes. Willing to press send, even if your hands tremble. Willing to show up, even if your mind races with doubt. It's in the doing that transformation begins. Each time you act in the face of fear, you prove something to yourself. You show yourself that you're capable, that you can survive discomfort, that you can handle rejection, awkwardness, uncertainty, and come out stronger. That proof stacks up. It becomes experience. It becomes belief. And from that belief, courage grows. Not all at once, but steadily. Action creates evidence, and evidence builds confidence. This is the cycle that turns fear into fuel. People spend years stuck in a cycle of hesitation because they believe the lie that bravery will one day just arrive. But bravery isn't delivered, it's created. It's forged in the moment you take the leap without knowing how it will end. It's not something you find, it's something you do, and the more you do it, the stronger it gets. Fear has a strange way of showing up right before something important is about to happen. It's that knot in your stomach before you speak your truth, the racing thoughts before taking a risk, the tension in your chest when you stand on the edge of change. And most people see that fear as a warninga sign, to stop, to wait, to turn back. But the truth is, fear doesn't always mean danger. More often than not, fear means significance. It means you're standing at the threshold of something that matters. The things we fear the most tend to be the things most aligned with our growth, our purpose, and our truth. You don't get nervous about things that are irrelevant to you. You don't feel afraid of choices that don't affect your future. Fear shows up when the stakes are real, when the outcome has weight, when the step you're about to take could shape who you become. That's why fear can be a powerful compass, because it points you toward what's meaningful. It tells you, in its own twisted way, that you're about to step into something that stretches you. Many people misinterpret this signal. They think fear is their body's way of saying, don't do this. In reality, fear is more often saying, pay attention, this matters. But because fear feels uncomfortable, we try to avoid it. We convince ourselves that if we're scared, it must not be the right time, or the right move, or the right opportunity. We back away, not realizing we're turning our backs on the very things we care about most. When you shift your perspective and begin to treat fear as a directional signal instead of a danger sign, everything changes. You stop waiting to feel fearless before you act. You stop seeing discomfort as a red flag. Instead, you lean in. You ask yourself, why does this scare me? And often the answer is because it means something. It exposes a desire. It awakens a dream. It challenges your sense of who you are and who you could become. Fear in this way becomes less of a threat and more of a guide. It reveals the edges of your comfort zone. It highlights where you've been hiding, playing small, staying safe. And in doing so, it hands you a map not away from risk, but directly into the heart of it, into the moments that have the potential to change your life, your path, your sense of self. When you start to see fear as a signal of importance rather than danger, you begin to approach it with curiosity instead of avoidance. You start asking what's on the other side of it instead of running from what it might feel like. You realize that fear isn't trying to stop you, it's trying to show you where you still have room to grow. And that realization gives you the power to move toward it rather than away from it. Comfort feels good. It feels safe, familiar, and easy. It's the place where things are predictable, where routines are known, and where outcomes rarely surprise you. Most people build their lives around the pursuit of comfort, thinking it's the ultimate goal: security, routine, peace. But comfort, while pleasant in the moment, has a hidden cost. It doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't challenge you, stretch you, or ask you to evolve. And that's where the danger lies, because nothing extraordinary ever grows in comfort. Growth is uncomfortable by nature. It requires you to confront what you don't know, to try what you've never done, and to become someone you've never been. It demands mistakes, missteps, and moments of vulnerability. It forces you to let go of control, to embrace uncertainty, and to take risks that might not pay off right away. That's why so many people stay where it's comfortable, no, because they don't have potential, but because they're unwilling to leave the space where everything feels familiar. The comfort zone is subtle. It doesn't scream at you or put up walls. It quietly convinces you that this is enough, that reaching higher is too risky, that maybe your dreams are too big. It tells you that settling is smart, that staying safe is wise, and that discomfort should be avoided at all costs. Over time, it becomes a cage, not a physical one, but a mental one. You stop pushing boundaries, you stop asking more of yourself, you begin to shrink your ambitions to fit the space you've chosen to live in. And the irony is, people think they're avoiding pain by staying comfortable, but they're only trading one kind of pain for another. The short-term discomfort of growth gets replaced by the long-term ache of regret. The fear of failure gets swapped for the dull weight of wondering what could have been. The discomfort of change turns into the stagnation of sameness. That's the price of staying where its easy life begins to feel smaller than what it could be. Pushing past comfort means doing things that scare you. It means raising your hand when your voice shakes, applying for opportunities you don't feel fully ready for, showing up when you'd rather hide. It means deliberately choosing the harder path, not because you enjoy the struggle, but because you understand what's on the other side of it. You start to see discomfort not as something to fear, but as proof that you're growing, evolving, and becoming more capable than you were yesterday. Every person who has done something remarkable, who has changed their life or made an impact, has had to step outside what was comfortable. They had to face the unknown, the unpredictable, the unstable, and they chose to keep going anyway. They understood that comfort might keep you safe, but it also keeps you small. Growth asks more. It asks for your willingness to be seen, to be challenged, to fail, to rise, and to become something more than what you were. Fear doesn't just disappear. It doesn't dissolve the moment you decide to chase your goals or live more boldly. It doesn't vanish when the timing is perfect or when the plan is flawless. Fear lingers. It walks beside you. It whispers in the quiet moments, in the early mornings, and just before the leap. Many people believe they have to overcome fear completely before they can act, but that belief keeps them stuck. The truth is, you don't need to eliminate fear. You need to learn how to move with it. Fear will always try to get a seat at the table. It will always ask for control. It will try to grab the steering wheel and tell you where to go or where not to go. And if you let it, it will drive your entire life in circles, keeping you close to what's familiar and far from what's possible. But you have the choice to tell fear that it can come along for the ride, but it doesn't get to drive, it doesn't get to make decisions, it doesn't get to choose your direction. When you begin to see fear as a companion instead of an enemy, its power changes. Instead of trying to push it away, you learn to carry it. You learn to say, yes, I'm afraid, but I'm doing this anyway. That shift in mindset is where transformation begins. It's not about being fearless. It's about being brave enough to keep going while fear is still present. That kind of courage is quiet, steady, and deeply personal. It's not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's simply showing up. Sometimes it's taking the next step without knowing exactly where it leads. Fear loves certainty. It feeds off the unknown. So when you make bold moves starting something new, making a change, risking failure, it shows up quickly, often disguised as logic or self-protection. It asks questions like, what if this doesn't work? Or, what if people judge you? But rarely does fear ask, what if it does work? Or, what if this changes your life? You have to ask those questions yourself, and you have to answer them with action. Taking fear along for the journey means acknowledging it, understanding it, but not obeying it. It's recognizing that fear might be part of the process, but it doesn't define the outcome. You begin to build a kind of mental muscle every time you act in its presence. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't stop you, that even when the voice of doubt is loud, your decision to move forward is louder. Over time, moving with fear becomes a habit. It doesn't mean you stop feeling scared. It means you stop letting fear make the rules. You stop waiting to feel perfectly ready. You stop waiting to feel completely safe, and in doing so, you begin to expand your capacity to handle risk, to face uncertainty, to step into who you really are underneath all the fear's noise. There comes a point where thinking, planning, and hoping are no longer enough. You can read every book, listen to every podcast, gather all the advice in the world, but none of it matters until you make the decision to act. Fear, doubt, and hesitation will always have something to say. They'll offer reasons to wait, to play it safe, to postpone. But waiting doesn't make fear go away. It doesn't make the path clearer. What changes everything is the decision to push forward despite it. Because your future isn't built by the thoughts you have, it's built by the steps you take. Pushing through fear doesn't mean you feel ready. It means you decide that moving forward is more important than feeling comfortable. It means you prioritize your purpose over your doubt. That decision doesn't erase fear, but it puts you back in control. You stop being a prisoner of your thoughts and start becoming a creator of your future. The power is always in your choice, not once, not just at the beginning, but every single day. There's no shortcut around fear, no path that avoids discomfort. Every meaningful goal requires risk. Every dream comes with uncertainty. But the cost of inaction is far greater than the discomfort of trying. When you stay where it's safe, you trade possibility for predictability. You protect your ego, but you abandon your growth. The life you truly want will never feel completely safe. It will always ask for more than you think you're ready to give. But that's exactly why it's worth it. Every moment you hesitate, fear grows stronger. But every time you act, no matter how small the step, you take that power back. You teach yourself that you can move forward anyway. That fear doesn't get the final say. And over time, that repeated decision to push forward becomes who you are. Not someone who's fearless, but someone who moves anyway. Someone who leads their life with intention, not hesitation. Someone who doesn't just wait for the right time, but chooses to make the time right.